Giant Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Demon Stalker, Rift Stalker, Grown Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Scourge Stalker, Wind Runner, I'm a Pony, Elite Skill Hunter. A Death Dealer, a Life Stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome.
Welcome to episode 244 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Dark Roof in the Brewhall.com and the Brewhall on Twitter.
And I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
Okay, today is Sunday, August the 28th, 2016, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv. You can participate in the live chat room where our lovely moderator, Ali Sonder, is there to take your questions. And so we've got a good show for you today. Just only a couple more days before Legion launches, and I still have a hard time. This is like the earliest I think we've seen an expansion drop, so it hasn't really quite hit me yet that it's going to be coming on Tuesday. I guess I'm prepared. I don't know. This might be the first time where I might actually say I am not prepared. Are you ready for this one? Are you ready for it to all start up again?
It kind of came out of nowhere for me too. It just like a few days ago, I'm like, oh, I gotta like think what I'm doing next week and see if I can like take some time off and stuff like that. You know, I'm just trying to think like, well, since it launches at 3 a.m. where I am, I have to like, I don't know if I'm gonna just like do the all-nighter thing or if I'm gonna like go to bed really early so I can wake up at 3 a.m. or what I'm gonna do.
Go to bed early, get a good night's rest, and then play till dawn, like a gamer does.
Yeah, I don't know. Those days are, I think, a little bit beyond me. So I will not be getting up at 3 in the morning to play this. In fact, I've got to work on Tuesday, so I'm not taking the day off on Tuesday. So I'll come home from work Tuesday evening and just fire it up and get things going. But I've been enjoying the demon invasions a whole heck of a lot, though. Those have kind of exceeded my expectations. I mean, I think they probably one of the better pre-launch events that I think they've done.
I think they've exceeded even Blizzard's expectations, because Tara and Gregory and some of them have a Twitch account, and they didn't expect, quite like this. But they're amazing.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who's not doing invasions, even if it's not for leveling, just for gear or whatever.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, yes, they're repetitive, but still, the fact that I brought at least 3 tunes that were level 90 and gotten them up to 100, and I've gotten them all geared out. They're about all item level 700 now. I mean, they're ready to go for Legion. It was just a great way to get these tunes that were sitting on the shelf leveled up and get them all geared up and ready to go. I think that's probably what I love about it the most. And they were just kind of fun in general.
Except for all the dying.
Everybody hopes that when they go away that they'll come back, but not like, forever, just like once a month maybe, or like for a weekend or something like that, because they're good. I mean, we haven't even started Legion, and the content's just been just excellent. Everybody is enjoying everything about it.
Wow. And by the way, I'm just looking at the chat. I do believe we have a Wild Fageless in the chat room. Wow, wow, welcome. That's a name that brings back memories here. So for those who may not know, he was part of the show in the early days, and he basically made us sound much better than we actually do. I'll put it like that. So Fageless, welcome back. And I guess you're playing World of Warcraft again. We'll see what he says, but he says yes. Cool. Well, that's awesome. So maybe Legion. Maybe that's a good sign. Maybe Legion's going to bring back a lot of people.
Well, they say that unofficially, they're back up to 10 million people. So it's possible. I've seen people everywhere.
And that's you. Yeah, go ahead, Bendik. What were you going to say?
No, where did you hear that they said unofficially 10 million? Because that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I didn't believe it either, but someone that has a friend in Blizzard, said that that's what his friend told him. And they're not saying anything about it because they said they wouldn't. But I can kind of believe it, seeing all the sheer numbers of people everywhere. Everybody's just really enthused, except for about hunters. But other than that, I mean, it's just great.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute here. what was I going to say? So there were some hot fixes that came out since the last show. This kind of leads into a couple of topics, but mostly good news, I guess. There were some buffs. What was it? Exhilaration. Is this for marksmanship only? I didn't realize this, but it says now heals the hunter for 30% of maximum health, and the hunter's pet for 100%.
Yeah, that's just because it used to only heal the hunter before they added pets back in.
Okay, so that was more of a bug fix then than anything else.
Yeah.
Dark? Did we lose Dark?
I think so.
Uh-oh. Wouldn't be a show without some technical difficulties, right? Oh, well, fun times. Oh, yeah, there you go. So you dropped. Did you want to bring up anything else about exhilaration, Bendak?
No, they just changed it so it's in line with the other specs. Let's see, volley for marksmanship and BM that got buffed. It was already pretty decent for just AOE damage, so now it's just I don't know. It's more it's a decent alternative to barrage now, I guess, as long as your targets are clumped up. Oh, he's back.
I am back. Yeah, I guess it just dropped. I apologize for that. It's like it just went silent, and I was like, huh. So I guess we were talking about volley or murder of crows. Well, we can talk about both.
Yeah, I just mentioned the volley one.
And I guess the question with that is, does that now make it competitive or a good alternative to barrage? What were your thoughts on that?
It's all right. It's just, I don't know. Like if you run like a simulation, it's like puts out like pretty good numbers, but that's just like that assumes that everything's clumped up, and I still wouldn't take that over like a murder of crows for BM,
right?
Or barrage for marksmanship, just because I just feel they work better, you know. But if you just want that kind of like passive, turn it on and never think about it, then I mean it's free extra damage, so.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that. Although I don't think that. I mean, there aren't that many abilities as it is. I mean, for any of the specs, or at least for a marksmanship and beast mastery. So I don't think having an extra button in volley or murder of crows really just complicates things too much. But it's good to have some options like that. There was a PvP change. The Beast Within now reduces the cooldown of Bestial Wrath by 15 seconds, and it was 30 seconds. So that doesn't sound fun, but. And then the other one I saw was the magnetized blasting cap launcher. These are a pair of legendary bracers, and these increase bursting shots damage by 800% and range by 30 yards, up from 200% in 20 yards, which seems pretty good, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, because then you have like a bursting shot is now what I think that makes it a 38-yard knockback or something like that.
Yeah,
and like pretty decent damage too. So I can see it being nice in mythic dungeons and stuff like that, just for interrupting enemies. Because it doesn't knock them back very far, if I recall.
Yeah, I haven't noticed. I haven't used it enough to get a sense of it. And yeah, I mean, like I've mostly been doing Legion invasions more than anything else. So one of the other things that happened this week, which is kind of funny, was there was a forum thread in which Blizzard was put out a call for hunter feedback, which seemed odd to me. I think everybody else too reacted the same way. Like, wait, the expansion is launching in just a few days here, and they're looking for feedback on ways to improve the hunter class. It just seems like it's a little bit late in the game for that kind of request.
Yeah, and they only did these threads for hunters and warlocks, which it seems like those two classes overall are have the most unhappy people. But yeah, it's just really weird. It's like they posted that thread 6 days before Legion comes out, and it's like, well, we've been telling you this stuff for 6 months or more. Like the alpha started in like November or December.
Right.
And it's like I'm glad that they're taking the feedback and all that stuff, but it's like, really?
Yeah, no, I'm glad they're asking for it too. But I think I was scrolling through some of the comments in the thread, and I forget who it was. Maybe Jade McKin, um, who contributes a lot to the Hunter class. You know, one of the things he did was post a link to, you know, basically the beta feedback thread and said, hey, you know, check this out because a lot of the stuff here is still relevant to what you're looking for. So, which is to say that, you know, you and the other hunters have been giving feedback for quite some time now. That a lot of what I think people still have to say is there. But I mean, what's your sense of it? I mean, you know, looking at beast mastery, I mean, we'll start with we could talk about beast mastery and marksmanship and kind of get your sense of where you think they are and what the issues are.
Yeah, I just, like most people, I just think there's just not enough there. There's no, I don't know, it's just, you got your three main buttons and you're kind of just waiting for cooldowns to finish. And there's no like cool moments in the rotation where like something cool happens or you build up to something, or I don't know. It's just lackluster. And I mean, some of the talents make it better, but I don't know. I mean, I wrote a pretty detailed post in that thread too, even though I've said the same stuff for 6 months. But as a whole, I'm just kind of like, just like there's nothing. I don't know. I just think that I would have been happier if they would have just kept the old Beast Mastery, added all the new talents, gave us Titan Strike, and just left it at that. You know?
I don't disagree. I mean, one of the things I find myself really missing is kill shot, and I don't know if it needs to be part of Beast Mastery, but it was part of Beast Mastery, and I just kind of enjoyed knowing that once you got into that execute range, you'd have this extra ability that was pretty good that you could go ahead and take advantage of. And so I find myself missing that. That's one of the things I don't like about Beast Mastery that's gone. And then the lack of control over sort of the focus generation is another thing that I'm trying to get used to, and I'm still not quite used to that. I'm so sort of used to having Cobra Shot available to generate focus kind of on demand if I needed, if I got myself into some trouble.
Yeah, I'm strangely used to that part of it, but yeah, I agree with kill shot. I think it would have been cool if they would have added like maybe like a pet based execute or something like that. So like you activate it and it comes from your pet. But yeah. And then just some sort of replacement for focus fire and frenzy. Just some kind of secondary resource / stacks to manage, you know? Just something else besides the cooldowns.
Yeah, I mean, because right now it just seems like, you know, you've got your Bestial Wrath, your Kill Command, and Dire Beast. And I mean, is there anything else really beyond that, or just those three at this point? I mean, those are the three big buttons.
Yeah, and then Cobra Shot, and then in your artifact you eventually get Titan's Thunder, which is another cooldown.
Yeah, and maybe that'll change it too. I mean, that's the other thing to take into consideration here is we don't have the artifact weapons yet, and there is some things missing. You know, I don't know how much of a difference it'll make, although enough people have played with it on the beta to answer that question, right? You know, I never played in the beta enough to really get too far this time around, but it's not like it's an unknown. But it's just that for most people playing in live, if that's all you've ever done, well, you know, there's a big piece of the puzzle that's not in place yet.
Yeah.
But and I've been dabbling a little bit more in marksmanship, and I'm leaning towards. I might be leaning towards making that my primary. I'm a little bit uncertain, but I'm enjoying it a little bit more, I think. And people have started to said some good things about it. I mean, there's some thoughts that it might actually be slightly more powerful than Beast Mastery, but I don't know if it's enough to really make a decision, especially if you like Beast Mastery. But I've been playing with it, and I'm kind of enjoying it. And I mean, have you done much with marksmanship?
Yeah, it's I think it's going to be a nice rating spec, just because the fact that you can do your full single target damage and then your cleave is kind of just passive. You don't have to sacrifice that to get it, you know. So for stuff like that, it's gonna be really nice. Yeah, and then for BM, it's their single target might be a little bit lower, but in terms of like clumped up, sustained AoE damage, it's like really good. So it's gonna be a really nice spec for like mythic dungeons and stuff like that. Like there's place for both of them, and understanding more about artifact knowledge and all that, it's not going to be that hard to keep both artifacts going. Like you obviously you're going to favor one of them, but it's not
Right.
as daunting of a task as I once thought.
Yeah, and Delirium saying he doesn't really like marksmanship, especially sidewinders, but it feels better than BM and quicker to get the powerful artifact talents. Yeah, we can talk about that later on in the show, because you wrote a very good article this week on Locked and Loaded about the artifact paths and kind of which way, sort of the most efficient and way to go in terms of choosing those. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, my thing about marksmanship is I feel like you're kind of locked into certain talents and abilities at this point, that it just, I don't feel like I have a lot of choice in terms of what I should be choosing. So, and it really comes down to patient sniper and sidewinders is sort of being the build, if you will, for marksmanship. And I just want to pull up the talent screen. But yeah, I mean, patient sniper just seems like a huge talent, as well as sidewinders. And without that, it's there's the others just sort of seem to pale in comparison a little bit. And like I said, even barrage as part of that for all the cleave damage is pretty huge as well. So I that's.
And you got lock and load for raids and dungeons, and then for soloing you could use Black Arrow.
Yeah, and that's kind of nice. I don't mind that. I like having options for for those types of situations. And I think that's a nice thing. But other than that, some of the other things I don't even bother to look at. And I mean, the one thing I do like about it is this sort of the rotation is built around the vulnerability debuff. I'm still figuring out the best way to manage that. So you have to put a little bit of thought into that and managing that. But I do like that there's some they have built in some synergy there with that particular debuff.
Yeah, though it's really simplified with Patient Sniper, which is part of the reason that it's a good talent. You don't have to build up 3 stacks, and you don't have to worry about that. Basically, you just kind of use your sidewinders, and then if you have Hunter's Mark, you mark shot, and then a couple aim shots, and then repeat. Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out too. And so I guess where I get sort of tripped up maybe, and this is a good discussion, is, you've got this say, especially in single target, that vulnerability debuff, and it's sort of trying to figure out when to weave in those aim shots and how many of those aim shots before moving on and trying other abilities. So that's a little bit of a nuance that I'm working on right now to try and perfect.
All right. Well, it should be up most of the time, and
but vulnerability.
Yeah, because like every time you cast Sidewinders, the target's gonna be vulnerable,
right,
for 6 seconds. So you can fit in, depending, like a mark shot and 2 aim shots, for example, and then if Sidewinders is on cooldown, that's when you can use barrage or something like that, since it's not affected by vulnerability.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm doing. Like when I do mark shot, I'll try and weave in the 2 aim shots there for sure, and I think that feels pretty good. It's just trying to, I guess, look at sidewinders and figure out, I mean, I've read that like letting them get to 2 charges isn't ideal, so I try and avoid that from happening. So just a little bit of management there, but it's not overly complex. But so I kind of enjoy that you have to do a little bit of thinking there. But as you say, Patient Sniper just really makes things a little bit easier there for sure. And the locked and loaded is nice. That's because I don't have the tier gear on all of my hunters, so you really notice it on the ones that don't have it. since aim shot is casted. So the lock and load kicking in is nice. That's a very good talent.
Yep.
And what was the other one on that tree? Oh, it's True Aim. That's the one that people are adoring. So yeah, this is one where each successive arcane or aim shot fired at the same target increases the damage of those shots, and that's the one that stacks up. But not a lot of value there.
Comparatively, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and especially, I guess. Well, does that affect? Does True Aim? Just out of curiosity, does it affect Sidewinders as well, or no?
No, just arcane and
Just
aimed.
arcane shot. So yeah, so if you
actually no, then it would affect Sidewinders since
Yeah, I was
arcane
just curious.
shot is replaced.
Right, it replaces arcane shot. It doesn't reference Sidewinders in the tooltip. So I was just curious. I would assume that it would because it replaces that, but if it didn't, then that talent loses some value there. And I've yet to touch survival, by the way. I really haven't had a chance to look at it.
Have you even tried it like on the beta or anything?
No, I didn't get
wow.
that far. So yeah, I realized I've seriously, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I've not really touched it. But I want to give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like how it's focused on traps and everything. Like if you take the right talents, it feels like the core of your rotation is like dropping your explosive trap because it does a ton of damage, and if you take the right talents. And there's like, I think pretty much every ability they have, bar maybe one or two, is a dot or can be turned into a dot. So if you like that sort of thing, then
yeah. And I don't know. I've never been a big fan of the dot classes. Like that's never really. I just feel like it's too much watching, right? You always felt like you were watching timers on your dots, trying to, figuring out the timing to refresh and everything like that. So I've never really enjoyed dot classes all that much.
like look, going through invasions and stuff like that, like you see a lot of hunters, and I can count on one hand the amount of survival hunters I've seen.
Yeah, I see a lot of marksmanship right now for sure. Oh, I see both. I see both a mix of beast smashing, but I see a lot of marksmanship, and Lone Wolf is another one that just seems like that talent just, no matter what you pair it up against, is just too good to pass up.
Yeah, the other ones, they're pretty good still. Like for like a long boss fight and stuff like that, but it's just Lone Wolf is just more. I don't know, it just feels better.
Yeah.
Marksmanship.
Yep. It does. And as I said, then, between that and Beast Mastery, which is just so pet focused, I guess, I don't really have a huge problem with that. But I guess that's the other, perhaps if you want to, talk about feedback for marksmanship, I mean, like I said, you feel locked into Lone Wolf, Patient Sniper, and Sidewinders. Certainly for the rating. I like Black Arrow. Black Arrow is a fun talent to be when you're out about doing things on your own.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing Lone Wolf, it can kind of take some of the pressure off you getting beaten.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have for leveling too, because you can definitely level as Lone Wolf, especially with Black Arrow. For any mobs that might hit a little harder, you can that'll taunt them for a few seconds so they don't get close enough to hit you. I think in some ways marksmanship it's almost easier for leveling just because of how you can spread your damage and do so much of it so quickly, So I think if you're worried about leveling without a pet, I wouldn't. Like if you want to play marksmanship, you don't have to level as BM and then switch. You can level as marksmanship.
Right. Yeah, no, and I think that's nice too. And I mean, the pets sometimes they feel a little bit wonky. I'm trying to think what it was. So actually, our guild a lot of people are coming back, and so we did a little bit of raiding last Tuesday, and I brought Dark Brew into there, and played as Beast Mastery, and I was having some. This was through Hellfire Citadel, but had some pet issues for sure. I'm trying to think which boss it was that really gave me fits. It was a Gore Fiend, and my pet just would not run up there and attack him. He was just standing in the back of the room, and it was so frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but they somehow seem to make pet AI worse in Legion than it was in Warlords. I don't know how they did that, but
yeah, I don't know what it is. It seems to change, you know, when they go to these major expansions like that they seem to tinker with it in some ways, and not always for the better. But yeah, I just noticed Terran Gorfiend. Yeah, he was just standing there in the back of the room, and I was using Thok, so he looked cool, but that's not really what I'm looking for in my pet. That's just one aspect of it. He decided to sit it out, and it's a huge part of the damage. It's like,
yeah, I didn't do any raid testing, so I'm not sure if there's any problems there. But hopefully, if there was, they worked it out.
But it was fun to kind of get back in there again. So I'm looking forward to the new raids that come out towards the end of September. That'll be fun to do.
Yeah,
I'll be ready for that. That'll be nice. Oh.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that and Mythic Dungeons, Mythic Plus Dungeons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't do too many of the Mythic Plus. I didn't really do much of that last time around in Warlords, but I'll look at that this time. And I guess they've kind of designed that to be sort of an alternative to the end game. If you don't want to raid, or in addition to, or in lieu of, I guess is the idea behind it.
I don't think it's a 100% alternative, but it could be for some people because you can get really good gear from it, but you're not going to get like tier sets and stuff like that.
Oh, that's true. That's true. The tier sets are raid limited.
Yeah.
But didn't they say that not that the item level would be as good, but in LFR you'll be able to get the tier sets again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot of people are going to like that. You can get the actual tier armor and the actual trinkets again.
Yeah, so that'll be nice. That's a nice change because not everybody raids in a guild. I mean, most do, but it'd be nice. And most of the guilds that are organized will just, maybe they'll dip in there to try and get those pieces early on, but they'll probably mostly get it too from just the normal raiding that you do.
Yeah, I think people will be spending a lot of time in dungeons this expansion. It's not going to be like Warlords when you do heroics for the first 2 weeks and then never touch them again. Because there's always going to be Mythic and then Mythic Plus, and then you have all these chances for more gear and for upgraded to eye level and stuff like that. And then you have that special chest you get in your class hall, which is based on the highest Mythic Plus that you completed that week.
Right.
So I can see some people focusing on dungeons over raids for sure.
Yeah, and it's nice. I mean, it seems like they're trying to give a lot of reason for you to kind of log in and just do things, whatever it is you feel like doing.
Yeah, World Quest too. There's always going to be stuff to do there.
Yeah, the World Quest. That seems to me like sort of like that big time sink early on.
Yeah, and there's an add-on people should check out. It's called World Quest Tracker, and it's just a way to organize your world quests and see them at a glance and stuff like that. I think there's a chance that this add-on or one like it will turn into like the new master plan.
Yeah. No, so that's good. And go ahead.
With all the world missions we're going to be having and the dungeons and the raids and everything else, are we going to have time for all that stuff?
You're going to have to pick and choose what you want to do because, yeah, there's a lot. You're going to have to either pick and choose or just go full no life mode.
Yeah, and I mean, and it sounds like that's just on one tune, right? I mean, if you're going to level up some alts and things like that, it's just really could be overwhelming.
Yeah, so that'll take, do stuff like you look at the world quests and say, well, I just want artifact power, so I'll just do those. Or I'll just do the 4 that I need to get today's cash or whatever.
Yeah.
Because if you try to do them all, you're just going to be playing all day.
Yeah, that's my sense. Once you get starting into raiding too, then that sort of becomes, I think that can lessen it a little bit because I don't know. I think that, well, in the past it certainly has, because that's where you focus on, right, to get your gear. So you figure, you wouldn't have to do too much. There usually wasn't many opportunities to get gear outside of there, but now it's different. So who knows? Maybe you will be constantly playing if you want to, and have a lot more opportunities to improve your character, outside of that raiding environment.
Yeah. For example, you get the first heroic dungeon, you get a certain amount of artifact power.
Mm-hmm.
But you can keep doing more heroic dungeons, and every boss is going to give you a little bit more. But like not a lot, but still, I'm sure there'll be people out there who just spam them. And they'll get like an extra trait or something, extra trait or two when raids open up.
Yep. And I think too, they talked about artifact power, and I wasn't necessarily planning to have a big discussion on that. But I think they've designed it so that you should just go out and get what you need whenever you feel like getting it, rather than trying to. I think there was some concern that was there some sort of magic formula for whether you should wait or rush to do things in the beginning, and I think they've.
Oh, because of the knowledge thing.
Yeah, the knowledge, yeah. I guess.
Yeah, the way they've made it, it's not really worth piling up stuff. I'd say you just do it as it comes up. There might be some weird thing where you can hold off on something for a bit, a treasure or something, and get a little more. But when we're talking like 500,000 artifact power, like it's these little things are just little drops in the bucket. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the folks where I'd asked Mr. Robot put together like a artifact power schedule, and which says if you do dailies every day and increase artifact knowledge ranks, you'll get at least the number of traits listed below. And I think their conclusion was that it didn't much matter, right? If you trying to game the system, so to speak, it really wasn't going to gain too much.
Yeah, I just pasted it in the chat. This chart is based on just doing the dailies,
right?
Basically.
Right.
Not going out of your way.
Mm-hmm.
And they came to the conclusion that after 6 weeks you would have all of your gold traits, and then after 14 weeks you would have all of your traits unlocked. And there's other stuff too, like they show, like, they calculate how far you could be on the off spec and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's
that's
really
gonna be
close. Yeah. For example, on week 3, you can have 20 traits in your main spec, but you can also have 20 in your main and 14 in your off spec.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of how the first few traits are not that expensive, and then you get artifact knowledge, and it gets to a point. I think I looked at it, and so after you fill out your whole artifact, you start putting in points to like this little extra thing that adds a little bit of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And to put the first point in that costs more artifact power than it would be to, I think it's to get all of the golden traits in your 2 other specs, plus you have extra left over. Just to put 1 point in that thing. So I think what I would do is I would get like, I don't know. Actually, I don't even know what I'm going to do yet. I still got to look at this. So I think I'm going to play BM, but it's just like maybe marksmanship first. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm debating. I'm right now, like I said, I've been spending a little bit of time this week with marksmanship, so I'm maybe leaning towards that. But like I said, I have to review this too. But we can talk about this because you wrote a good article for Blizzard Watch this week about the best hunter artifact weapon build paths. So you sort of looked at this for each of the 3 specs and kind of traced out the order in which you thought would be best to unlock the traits. So what went into that? Like, for example, for Titan Strike, maybe we can talk about that one first.
Right. Well, that thing I did is just the most efficient path, basically, for DPS, right? Mm-hmm. And, well, for Beast Mastery, Beast Mastery doesn't get its full potential until you unlock those 3 golden traits. So at the very start, it's going to be a little bit behind, like marksmanship, for example, until it gets that Titan's Thunder. But yeah, that's all it was really. Like I also made a note saying like you might want to. I mean, this is like the most efficient, but you might want to grab like um, what's it called, Spirit Bond earlier, just because it's so nice to have that constant source of healing. So, and this is only applicable if you're going to be like immediately raiding and stuff like that.
Right, right. Which I think a lot of people are. I mean, a lot of people. Well, I mean, immediately. I don't know what our schedule is going to be, but I assume we'll try and do something. You know, if not that first week, I would say by the second week we'll probably try. You know, it's going to vary, right? I would say as soon as like 10 people in the guild with the right classes have reached the point where they're able to step into a raid, we'll be off and running, and then more and more people will join after that. But I'm sure our focus would be to get in there as soon as we can.
Yep. So yeah, I just looked at the traits and then ran the various combinations through simulation craft and stuff like that, just to see which would be the most efficient. Like for example, for BM, like you could go the opposite way, like counterclockwise, but that would take you something, I don't know, it's like several weeks longer to unlock all three. So it makes more sense to go clockwise.
Mm-hmm. And is it designed such that you really have to, I guess, in other words, is the last trait you're going to open up on any of these things going to be one of those golden traits, or can you get those unlocked before you're done filling out your tree?
Oh, you got those quite a bit before you're done filling out your tree. Yeah. For BM, it's on your 25th or 26th trait. So if you look at that schedule thing we were talking about, you'll have your 3 golden traits in 6 weeks, but you won't have your full artifact until 14 weeks.
Right. So it's obviously designed to take a little while, be interesting. And I guess that'll be fine. I mean, you know, we certainly. I mean, the nice thing is it's designed so you will unlock everything eventually. So 14 weeks, that's what, about 3 months, I guess, give or take.
A little more. Yeah.
Yeah, a little more than 3 months. So probably 4 maybe at the outset, but. And that's just, well, and I guess, and of course you can work on them simultaneously. So I wonder how it slows down if you start working on 2 of these artifacts at once.
Yeah, not that much. Like it shows in that schedule thing. When you get to 25 traits in your main, you can be either 25 traits in your main, or you can have 24 in your main or 19 in your off spec at the same time. So that one extra trait, you could take that one trait, or you could put 19 in your other one.
Yeah, and that seems to me a much greater value.
If you're going to be playing both, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or at least having the ability to play both. I mean, for me, I know I'll be happy playing either Beast Mastery or Marksmanship. And, usually at some point after the expansion launches, they make changes, right? They buff this, they nerf that. So I'm sure there will be changes. We don't know what they'll be, and we'll have to wait and see, and probably won't know until after the rating starts and they start seeing all the damage numbers and all the information coming in to see where they got things right and where they have to tone things down or buff things up, and what the impact of that's all going to be. I mean, if they can manage, as long as they were able to maintain parity between these specs and these classes, so then it shouldn't matter a whole lot. But
they've claimed they want to avoid that. I mean, I'm not saying they will, but they've said several times they want to have this hopefully taken care of before the launch.
Yeah,
because they know people are going to be spending artifact power.
Exactly.
And they don't want people to put 6 weeks of effort into artifact and then, we just hot fixed your spec and now it's no good anymore. So they said they would correct major outliers, but it wouldn't be like, say one of the specs was 10% better than the others. When they nerf it, they said they would only nerf it so it was 5% better instead of totally changing it,
Yeah. But it makes you worry a little bit because, you know, if they're going to start getting feedback from the hunter class, you wonder how they'll attempt to address that, or if they'll attempt to address that, and when they might attempt to do that. I wouldn't expect to see sweeping changes right away, but you wonder if there'll be big mechanical changes or talent changes, like, you know, of that variety, where they add an ability or add a new talent or remove. I don't know what they would do. Other than I think they tend to avoid.
Yeah, they have to be careful with that too, because you don't want to change it too much. I mean, as much as we like changes to these suggestions we're making, you change it too much, you risk making the spec someone not like it after they've spent all this effort into it. So it's not going to, like, I saw in one of the interviews, like, someone asked the question, like, well, if you make a big change in a patch, you're going to refund the artifact power so they can spend it on another spec. And they're like, we're not going to do that, so we're going to try to avoid doing stuff like that that would, you know, necessitate that, you know?
Yeah, and that makes total sense. And of course, you know, the artifact power is one of these things. It's sort of like the garrisons of Legion, if you will, in the sense that I think I think they have said that this is like one and done, right? I mean, the artifact is just for Legion and Legion only, and then they'll abandon it for something new and different moving forward. So
that's a long way off. I still think it's weird.
It is a long way off. It is a long way off. It is weird to think about that, but I know, and it's way too premature. We haven't even started day one in Legion, but I was thinking, you know, they're gonna, you know, this is one of those features, because they do that and they introduce something big for an expansion, and then that's it. You know, then they move on to something else. But you know, everything about so many changes about these classes, ultimately we get a lot from these artifacts that they'll have to, means, you know, more sweeping changes next time around, where they have to look at either finding out what worked well and baking some of these things into the class or something, or we'll lose things that we really like about the artifacts.
Yep, for sure. It's like for Beast Mastery, it's like, oh, we're taking your other pet away now.
Yeah, I wonder about that, right? Because, you know, did they consider, well, we understand that, you know, it was tied to this weapon, but we like the way it works, so we're going to give you a second pet. I don't know.
Oh man, it's just gonna spiral out of control.
Yeah, but I was thinking about that as I was looking over the artifact weapon and thinking, you know, gosh, because I forget who mentioned it. One of the devs, maybe it was Dave Kozak, had said, yeah, it's just for Legion. I was thinking, oh boy, because we get a lot out of that, and they're gonna have to redo this all again in another expansion. But I guess it keeps things fresh. I suppose that's the
yeah. Who knows what they're gonna do?
I want like fun. I want my class.
Well, fun is definitely. I mean, I haven't really. The Demon Hunters look kind of fun. I've played with them a little bit. I haven't completed that quest line yet either. But
I do think that's actually a problem, is that because of the invasions, everybody's got a chance to try off any class they've ever even considered trying. And some people are finding that they actually kind of like some of these. And that just makes it worse because of the problems with Hunter right now. If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
understand.
I was really digging the Shadow Priest when I leveled one. But I'm not gonna, don't worry, I'm not gonna switch. But I'm just saying, I'm like, oh, I kind of like that.
Yeah, I'm not planning to switch either, though I did bring my Shaman into Invasion. I'm trying to get him up to 100. Although I will admit I have no clue as to what I'm doing. You know, I'm trying to read up on how to play that particular class, Elemental, and then I have to look at, I'm leveling him as Elemental just because I like ranged, but I have to look at Enhancement as well. But so I'm just going in there and smashing buttons and trying not to die is basically it.
Yeah, that's a trick actually, the not dying part.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, all right, where are my AoE abilities so I can get hits on as many targets as I can, and then, you know, how do I get out of the way so I don't die? And then the other thing I figured out too is, even then as I go from 90 to 100, it's like, well, if I can get through these invasions with whatever gear I have now, you can just hang on to those chests until you hit 100, and then open them up all then.
Yep.
I did not realize that on my first Hunter, so I was like, oh, I'd get a chest, I'd open it up, and then after a couple of levels, I was, oh, wait a minute, the item levels keep getting better here. So obviously I could probably I should be hanging on to these until I hit 100 so I can get all the gear, all the level 100 gear out of it. But they've done some nice things. I mean, you talked about this before. The hunter bow that you get from the demon invasion, all the other armor pieces, I think have a really nice look. I like those, except for that bow.
Yeah,
it's like someone took some pipes, some plumbing, and stuck it all together. It's just really an odd design.
I don't understand. Like, did that model already exist, or did they actually make it? No, it must have existed because I think a lot of these are.
Do you think it existed?
Models.
I'm not sure. It might have. I'd have to go look that up. I don't know what it's.
I think
called.
the polearm I think was in the game files for a long time. It was just never used.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing the bow has probably been there since like Burning Crusade or something. And now they're just like, oh, we need a bow. This is the only one we have. So yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't recall seeing it ever, and
it wasn't used on an item. What I mean is, it was just sitting there in the game files somewhere.
In the game files, maybe that's entirely possible.
It's funny though. I still wanted it just because of the stupid transmog collection. I'm never gonna transmog it, but you still want it.
Yeah, I'll never transmog it to that. I might wear the other armor pieces on a hunter or two.
Yeah,
I thought they looked pretty nice.
If I was going to do like a hobo hunter, that would be the bow.
Yeah. And then it's nice that you can upgrade it to 725 if you get those pieces. I'm not sure. I don't think it's worth spending shards on that necessarily, but you can get the shards as drops to upgrade it, which is nice.
Yeah.
Only because once Legion hits and you start to level that particular character, you're going to replace it with the artifact.
You're going to replace it immediately. So
yeah.
You're going to have that. You're going to replace that weapon within like 30 minutes of launch. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. So it's a upgrade. If you get that's the way I'm doing it. If I get the drops, fine. Otherwise, I'm not going to spend shards. It's a waste of shards. There's other things that you can get with those shards, like pets and some things like that are just much more worthwhile.
Yeah, those pets though, they're becoming like the new left shark. It's like I don't even know what to. I have so many of them. I don't know what to do. One thing I haven't from the event, I don't know if you're aware, but there's those dread infiltrators that can spawn in Stormwind and Orgrimmar. Have you seen those?
Yes, I've seen one of them. Yes.
Yeah, and they have a chance to drop that toy, the Pocket Fell Spreader.
Okay. Yes, I heard about that.
So hunters are able to spawn those things because you need to have a track demons thing. So anyway, those toys are worth quite a bit of gold. So I've been doing a lot of that too. Just keep an eye out on the group finder, and when those groups pop up, try to join them. They fill like all 40 spots fill up within like a second.
Yeah.
So you have to be really quick. There's like an add-on called Server Hop that helps with that. But
oh, cool. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, the fact that you can gear up these alts and those invasions has been really, really, really nice. I'm just very happy about that because I've had some that have just didn't feel like in the leveling up too. The XP is really good, and I just haven't felt like going through Warlords of Draenor quests anymore. I'm pretty much done.
Yep.
And so it's been great. I don't know, and I guess what you can bring tunes that are as low as level 10. I don't think I have anybody that range, but
yeah, I think 10 is when they scale down to. But when I was running into one of the invasions at like level 9, it still gave me credit. So I don't know. It might even start lower than that.
And what did you say, Ali? You get like 3 or 4 levels. The lower, like at the lower levels, you get you don't just ding 1 level per invasion. You get a bunch, right?
Yeah, I started level 15 and I'm up to level 17 right now, and I'm on stage 2. So
yeah, the key is you got to tag all of those big guys.
yes,
That's where all the XP comes from.
yes,
Yeah,
and
I
then
guess
not die.
Yeah, I guess the challenge at level 10 or lower levels is you can't fly from point to point
It's
during
still
the
really
invasion.
fast. Yeah, it's still really fast. Like, just go to the nearby ones. But
Mm-hmm.
I went from 1 to 100 in, I think, about 12 hours played.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like to go and
There's-
fly after the big boss demons. You know, they get very good XP for that and chance for some stuff. So.
There's also a trick that people have been using that they go to the nearest one, like Westfall or Ashara,
Mm-hmm.
and then once it's over, you log out, you log back in, and it starts fresh. So you don't actually have to travel. You
Oh,
only
you can
have to
just
do it once.
do the same
log
one
out.
over again.
Log out in stage 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get the XP from the stage
Mhm.
completion, but for those, but you do get from the monsters.
But the other thing you can do is you just have like 2 or 3 alts, and then just rotate between them.
Mm-hmm.
And send the person back in the inn when it's done.
But yeah, but time is running out, so I've got like I think there's like 1 or 2 more tunes I'd like to get to 100. Well, I'd like to do a couple of things. I have one hunter that is 100 that I'd like to get the gear, and then I've got a couple of tunes that wouldn't mind getting to 100 that aren't hunters. My shaman, who's I think 96 now, and maybe one other character. Although I don't know, it's just nice to get them to max level because I probably won't play them at all that much in Legion, but
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm gonna do for alts. Like, I feel like I'm just gonna focus on the one because I don't know. It just seems like, especially getting 2 artifacts going and all that stuff. I don't know what the benefit will be to have an alt. Especially when you just mostly play hunters.
yes. I mean, it used to be like in the old days, professions. It's good to have alts so you could have all the professions and have access to all that. But maybe that still applies, but it doesn't seem as necessary nowadays. But I'm the same way. I'd rather just get one tune, like really geared out with the majority of achievements and kind of as strong as I could get, and then worry about the alts. If we hit another content drought or something.
Yeah, hopefully they avoid that this time.
They said
No,
that.
Seems like they're
They
spreading it
always
out
say
more.
that. It's not going to happen.
Right? I know they said they want to have a steady stream of content. I'll believe that when I see it, and I think they understand that most players feel that way. That hey, when we get to the end, and you've got something new ready to roll out, then all right, I guess we'll believe it. But
Well, if you look at the past month of just content after content after content, they could have easily spaced this out over 2 months and been fine. So I believe that they want this to work. I do. We all do, honestly.
yes, we do. It just seems like if they're rolling out patches, then they're not rolling out expansions. Is the problem?
Well, it seems like they're spreading it out a little more. Like Nighthold, the raid. I think it's. Well, they haven't said an exact date, but I think it's like January or February. So that's quite a ways off.
Oh yeah,
It's a longer gap than High Mall and Blackrock were. And
I
this
think
is sort
that's
of the
fine.
same thing. Yeah. Well, for
I think-
sure. Yeah.
There's so much going on. Excuse me, and so much to do when these expansions launch that I think you can have those initial raid go out a little bit longer. I don't think there's any harm in that, and then stretch it out longer. That's probably better.
Plus,
Because at
there's
least-
the Karazhan patches in between there too. So
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm looking forward to that. So that's right. Karazhan coming back in 7.1 as a dungeon, not a raid,
Yeah.
but that's fine.
they call it a mega dungeon. So I think it's mythic only, and it's not. I don't even know if it's broken up into wings or not. They haven't really elaborated.
They haven't said, but people are assuming that it's going to be broken up in wings because they tended to do that with the longer dungeons like Maraden and Dire Maul.
Right.
And they
What's the
chop
other
out
one?
parts of them.
But they might not have to, just because the fact that it's mythics are a weekly lockout. So 9 dungeon bosses over a week is not that crazy, but it is crazy if you want to like do a pickup group, I guess. But if you're doing it
Also
with like
because-
guildies,
Yeah, with guildmates, that might be a fun thing to do, right? I mean,
Also, they're trying to do more bite-sized content for people that don't have 2 hours to spend at a night. So if you break it down into like 3 half-hour segments, then that's a little easier for people.
Yeah.
You can stay together if you want to. You don't have to break apart.
And there's going to be a little raid in there too, apparently. Like just like a 1 or 2 boss thing. In patch 7.1.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I hadn't read that, so that'll be fun. Yeah, I like the fact that they're really trying with this one to bring kind of the best of Burning Crusade and kind of a little bit of, it's a mix of Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, arguably two of their better expansions. It seems like they're kind of combining aspects of both of these and incorporating them in just to the general feel of this expansion with the story and the lore and everything else. I guess, I mean, it's fun being back in Dalaran again. I like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's going to have to start being specific about which Dalaran.
Mm-hmm. I know, right? That's good.
Did you hear that the sewers in Dalaran are now PvP?
I think you can like do something like you can pay the guards to go away or something like that.
Well, you can pay a guard to be your bodyguard for 5 minutes to go down there to protect you, but just watch your time. Because I used to go down there for like fishing and stuff like that.
Well, it'll be fun. So we're only just a few more days here. Tomorrow's Monday and then Tuesday. Wow. So I'm excited. I am getting excited. I was so bored with things, and now it's going to get real. It'll feel even more real come Tuesday. So that's great. But I think I've got to get moving for today. We've been here an hour, so I think with that, you have been listening to episode 243 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
And I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
All right, check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or add our RSS feed to your reader, and we'll have all these links available in our show notes. If you have a question or topic you would like us to abstain from on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com. Send us a tweet to huntingpartypod, and we'll try and answer it and read it on the show. And I'm sure you guys will have lots of questions once we get into Legion, and we'll be more than happy to answer those. And with that, stay thirsty, my friends, and remember to drink your dark brew lager.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
Dark Lady, watch over you.
Life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce. A dues payer, a boss slayer. I rock out with my lockout I can jump shot, BM, MM, and SB. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, 'cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, 'cause I am hit capped. 'Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top meters every fight. Landing and cave, dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malygos. We even killed a Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running as a ghost. Yarn Saran, Thorian, Sartharian, Magtheridon, Sulfuron, Arc of